Lately, there's been a lot of talk about Project 2025, the Heritage Foundation's wide-ranging policy playbook that conservatives plan to implement if they win in November. The recommendations include significantly reducing the role of federal agencies by stripping away regulations and targets that the Heritage Foundation believes are too cumbersome, such as the Environmental Protection Agency's goal of reducing air pollution enough to restore natural visibility by 2064, its ability to regulate air pollution between states, and its regulation of pesticides that harm endangered species. Other policy proposals include privatizing the National Weather Service, repealing LGBTQ rights, instituting federally coordinated abortion surveillance, while also seeking a federal abortion ban, enforcing a conservative Christian definition of family, defining pornography broadly enough that librarians and educators are under threat of being registered as sex offenders, and much, much more. All motivated by a Christian nationalist worldview that rather ominously interprets the pursuit of happiness not as liberty to do what we want, but what we ought. That ought is doing a lot of work there. You can find a lot of this information online and even read the 900+ page report for yourself. But as an outdoor-themed channel, I wanted to draw attention to one aspect of the plan that has not been as much discussed. In its chapter on the Department of the Interior, Project 2025 advocates for repealing the Antiquities Act. This act was passed by Congress and signed into law by President Theodore Roosevelt in 1906, and it gave presidents the authority to create national monuments from federal lands. Why is this important? According to the National Park Service, the Antiquities Act has been used by presidents to protect land 300 times. This allows presidents to act quickly in the pursuit of land preservation, as opposed to creating a national park, which requires an act of Congress, and as we all know, that can be a rather lengthy process. Many of the most iconic landscapes in the United States were first protected as national monuments and only later became national parks, including the Grand Canyon, Acadia, Joshua Tree, Zion, and Arches. The National Parks Conservation Association has an interesting list of monuments protected under the Antiquities Act if you want to dig into that. If the Antiquities Act were repealed, presidents would no longer be able to so easily protect land. Moreover, Project 2025 exhorts a conservative administration to make downward adjustments of monuments it deems too large, as Trump did when he shrank the Bears Ears and Grand Staircase Escalante national monuments, which, as Outside Magazine notes, was the largest reversal in public land protections in U.S. history. While President Biden later restored the monuments, if the Heritage Foundation gets its way in 2025, we can expect to see more national monuments reduced and potentially dismantled entirely. Meanwhile, demand for parks and outdoor recreation is so high that there have been reports of overcrowding at many American national parks. If anything, it's clear that Americans want and need more public parks. And public lands aren't just good for people's well-being, they're essential for preserving our nature and wildlife. The New York Times states it boldly: biodiversity is declining at rates unprecedented in human history. One of the biggest drivers of extinction is habitat loss, even in the United States. In the face of these facts, Project 2025's specific singling out of Cascade Siskiyou National Monument in Oregon for downward adjustment to allow logging is troubling. This national monument was preserved for its biodiversity, and losing it would be devastating. Unfortunately, Project 2025's plan for the Department of the Interior goes far beyond undermining national monuments. As noted by Kate Grotzinger, a journalist who covers Western land issues, it would also restrict the Endangered Species Act and open up the Alaskan wilderness for drilling, mining, and logging. You can read her full article to see all the details. To anyone who loves nature and the outdoors, it's clear that we need to preserve more land, not less. If we want America to be truly great, we must recognize that our environment, our landscape, our breathtaking nature is an essential part of our national identity. We owe it to ourselves and to future generations to preserve it, because this is something really worth fighting for.